Okay, well, good morning and welcome to this open council meeting for Wednesday, the 26th of August 2026. We've got a very full public gallery this morning, so a big welcome to everybody that's come along to the meeting to speak this morning, and great to see your engagement with council, and it's much appreciated. I'll get this guy inside and we'll be away laughing. So we have two apologies today from Councillor Jepson and Councillor Nathan. I am happy to move that they be accepted. Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Tania, thank you. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, motion carried. I'd like to confirm the agenda. There has been one change. Item 4.8, the temporary road closure approval has been withdrawn by the Chief Executive and will come to another meeting. But apart from that, it is as published, with the exception that I think we have one additional speaker in the public forum since publication. Apart from that, it is as published. I'm happy to move that. Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Rogers, thank you. Any discussion? All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, motion carried. We're moving to the conflict of interest declaration. Does anybody have any conflicts of interest to declare? Okay, thank you. So we are now going to move to the public forum. As I've alluded to, we have a lot of speakers today. There are in fact 7 separate groups speaking to us. Each group has 5 minutes to speak to their topic, and then up to 5 minutes for any questions from elected members. And because we've got such a large group, we'll have to stick to that reasonably closely, and you get prompted when your 5 minutes has come up. And when that happens, if you can just sort of wrap up, that'd be great. So first up, I'd like to welcome Gary Hay, who is introducing Pickleball Mangawhai. Gary.
Thank you. Hey, councillors, and that's Bridget. Yeah, thanks for having us, and we'll be very brief. But firstly, pickle and paddle are the 2 sports that we're promoting. I always get asked the question, what's the difference? The easiest thing is to just show you. That's a pickle bat, and that's a paddle bat. Yeah, they're quite different, but their sport is similar. They're both a derivative from tennis. Pickle is played with that ball, but bounces quite nice and easy, and paddle is played with a simple tennis ball. Both sports started off in, one started in Mexico, one started in the States. They were in the late 60s, and they've sort of, in the last 10 years, left their homelands and gone to countries like Spain and Portugal. Pickle has come here probably 5 years ago. The numbers, if you follow any of those sports, you see that they are growing like this, just number-wise. If you look at just what's happening in New Zealand, the sport itself, it's all about facilities. In the past, every little town had a tennis court. That's what people wanted. Today, those tennis courts are mostly derelict, and membership is right down. Okay. What's the benefit to us? So we started about 2 years ago in Mangawhai, and in March of this year we decided that we need to get formalised and formed a club. The only facilities we have are the school hall, and you would compete obviously with the school, and there's no play during the day. So the only times we are able to play is a Wednesday night and a Sunday morning for 2 hours. Okay. Our numbers started off with about 6 or 7. We're probably up to about close to over 50 at the moment, but we've probably had about 200 people come through pickleball over the last 2 years. A lot of people in the town are players, but don't play at the club just because of facilities, timing, that sort of thing. Okay. I'm going to pass this around and you can just look at that, but it's just a couple of concepts of what we ideally would like to have going forward. As I said, it's the fastest participation sport in the world at the moment. It caters for such a range of people. We have kids coming along. Some of the kids are now playing at school. We have kids coming along that are sort of 12, 13. Their parents are coming along and grandparents are coming along. A lot of folk who've played sport in their day, they've got to 50, 60, 70. They haven't played sport for 15, 20 years. This game is ideal. Yeah, they're back on a court. The court is not like tennis where it's a big court. It's a half-sized court. It's 6 meters by 13. You're sort of playing with somebody like this right next to you. You're talking to them. You're talking to your opponents. You've got an hour or two of just social interaction. As I said, we've got some guys that are in our club that are over 80, haven't played for 15, 20 years, any sport. They're back into playing sport and finding a purpose to actually get out there and do things.
Yes, I'm going to read about me.
Okay.
Got with me getting my glasses, sorry everybody. What makes the game so unique isn't just the game itself. People who have connected with our club in Mangawhai meet and make friends within weeks. People who may not have played sport for 10, 15 years regain confidence. Players and residents find purpose, routine and companionship. By connecting with our club, people have become part of a welcoming community. We all know that physical inactivity, social isolation and poor mental health place enormous pressure on our healthcare systems. Regular exercise improves health, mobility and balance, all reducing this strain. Regular social interaction improves mental well-being. A simple game, played a couple of times a week, can reduce isolation, improve quality of life, and help people remain physically active and independent for longer. Now, Gary and I may have a little grey hair, but pickleball is for everyone. The ages of people in our club range from mid-30s to mid-70s. The nature of the game means it can be played intergenerationally. Our players in their mid-70s can give the players in their mid-30s a real run around. And pickleball can easily be played mixed men and women or women against men. You don't have to be the biggest, strongest and tallest to be a good pickleball player. It's 5 minutes.
Yeah.
That's all right. You can just wrap up. Yep.
Yeah, just to quickly wrap up then, we're obviously looking for a dedicated space for ourselves for the two sports. We want to host tournaments. We want to, have leagues, all that sort of thing. At the moment, we as pickleball players and padel players are having to leave Mangawhai to go and play on the weekends. So not only are we not here to enjoy our own markets and coffee shops, we're going to other places there. But in saying that, if we had the dedicated space here, we could have people coming here for weekends to play sport. The tournaments themselves are only 1 or 2 hours, and the rest of the time people have the city or the town to go and explore and do things. Okay.
Well, thanks very much, Gary and Bridget. I just I have one question for you to start with. I noticed that there was some media interest when you brought out your bats there.
Yes.
I just if you hold them both up, would you like to get your photograph taken, and you might end up in the newspaper?
Yeah, so while I'm holding them up, to give you some idea, that bat is a $10 bat. And so you can get into the sport for a really, really cool mount. This is a paddle bat, one of the cheaper ones, probably $70 to $80. The ones in my bag, they are $300 and they go up to $1,000. But this will give you a start, and it's not a 400. This bat here is not 400% better than this, but I can assure you. It costs a lot more. You can still play with one of these for $10. So it's a really low impact, capital-wise sport to get into.
All right. Are there other questions? Councillor Lambeth?
Yes, through the mayor. Great, thanks. It's explained a lot of things, but I'm still in the mid to late 60s when I started primary school. We had a thing called paddle tennis. Is it much different to that?
Well, it's probably in the it's still to come, but you've either played paddle tennis or tennis set or something like that when you were at primary school. It's very similar. It's just got a different scoring system. Whereas padel, you score the same as tennis. 15, 30 love, that's a little,
It's a bit more fun.
yeah.
And can you use the existing net with a different court marking?
No.
That net's too high, is it?
The padel net is like a tennis net,
Yes.
and the pickle is a slightly lower net.
Right.
But if you look at a badminton court, that is the same size as a pickleball court.
Excellent, thank you.
Are there any other questions? Councillor Rogers, then Councillor Williams.
So are you guys basically looking to get some land set aside for this and do fundraising for the courts?
So the one sketched up, it was 1,000 square meters. That 1,000 square meters hosts 4 pickle courts and 1 padel court. The padel courts are expensive. They're about 170,000. They come from Spain. They've got to be erected. There's a lot of work that goes into them. Pickle courts are just a concrete slab. So there's not a hell of a cost in there. Ideally, we'd like the land to begin with and then grow into a big shed that could house the sports for obviously weather conditions.
Councillor Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks for your presentation. I just wondered, have you reached out to any community groups?
So the first reach out was to the tennis club, and that's an obvious one but around the world there seems to be this divide. Tennis players and pickle players, and it's no different here.
Unfortunately.
So whereas the tennis club has probably I'm a member of the tennis club as well, by the way, but it has about 200 members. Walkworth Pickleball Club has about 250 members, and it's only been going for sort of 3 years. So the numbers, there's a big facility for tennis in this town, but I don't believe they've been utilised. The courts are not utilised as they should be. We've approached, and this is where Maz will be talking to you later on, and we've been in discussion with them with regards to their courts that they're looking to do on the Maz ground. They would be more public courts and not a club court. But obviously, the more courts we have and the more people can play, the better it is. It just means that when you do eventually get a club, you've got a big pickleball community already in town.
Right. Are there any other questions? No? Okay, well, thanks very much for your
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Next, we have the Mangawhai Scouts group talking about a scout den. Mark. Mark Bygrave.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you for the opportunity to present to you today. My name is Mark Bygrave and I am the group leader for the Kaiwaka Mangawhai Scout Group. Scouting New Zealand is one of the few organisations that has total focus on youth and their development into good adults. There are 5 groups of youth within Scouts, and not many people realise this. They're Kias from 5 to 8 years old, Cubs 8 to 11, Scouts are 11 to 14 years old, Venturers 14 to 18, and then we also have Rovers 18 to 26 years old. So not many people know that we have a lot of different age ranges within Scouts. The Scout method, we have a method in New Zealand, and it's a structured approach to scouting that emphasises personal growth and community engagement. And I noticed when I came here, I spelled structured wrong. And it consists of 7 key components. This is what we do in Scouts. So it's living by the Scout promise and law, adventure, engaging in activities, personal progression, community engagement, youth leading, and adults. We take a back seat and we let kids organise themselves a lot of the time. And learning by doing and small teams. And that works very well when you're dealing with kids. In our current Kaiwaka Mangawhai Scout Group, we have around 15 Kia aged children and 15 Cub and 2 Scout aged children regularly coming to enjoy our scouting activities. We've only been going a couple of years since it got disbanded. But within those 2 years, the demand for places is growing, and we are confident that these numbers will grow, especially if we can secure a scout den. The Kaiwaka Sports Complex is an ideal spot, as it is very central to our membership from Mangawhai, Kaiwaka and Mangataroto. And we are also aiming to attract youth from Wellsford by approaching the schools for interests like the high school and the primary school. The Kaiwaka Sports Association complex there has a bush reserve and plenty of open space for the kids to run around and do activities. Ideally, a scout den would have room for indoor activities, storage, and bathroom and kitchen facilities. But, you know, kitchen doesn't need to be much, but you do need to be able to do that sort of thing for the kids. A scout group has been in this area for a very long time. I was 5 when I joined Scouts in this area, and it's our intention that it will continue to keep growing into the future. And having our own space, even if it was aligned with a group like basketball, would be an integral part of this vision. Other scouting groups in Northland have attendance numbers of 80 children or more, and there is no reason why we can't have similar membership with our growing area. In our Kia and Cub groups, we have a constant waiting list of children keen to join since we started 2 years ago. We're unable to meet this wait list given the space of numbers, because nowadays with Scouts, very different to when I was a boy, there is a specific adult to children ratio, which you need to keep up. And that is policed in Scouting for children's protection and adults protection. So in the early 2000s, Kaiwaka Mangawhai had the largest group in Northland, with 50 plus children participating, and our goal is to get kids off screens and back into participation. So to wrap up, Scouting is a great organisation, and there would be, to be honest, few families that have not heard or been a part of Scouting in New Zealand. And that is why supporting our bid for a permanent home is a good one. One thing I might add, which I hadn't written down, is the size of building that I have sort of in mind is like a 3 to 4 bay shed. But that's the sort of size I'm thinking about. Yeah.
Thanks very much, Mark. I've got a question there from Councillor.
Chair, Mark, with the Kaiwaka Sports Association up there, they've got the gym, they've got the gym, but then they've got the gymnasium and behind it. Does that get actually used for that much? I mean, that would, to me, that would be an easy sort of way in with a facility that's available, that toilets and that are available.
Yeah, like at the moment, we meet on Wednesday nights, and it's just in the main the Sports Association area. Why I'm looking to try and get our own den is because we have stuff that we need to store, and it'd be good to put things on walls and stuff like that. Yes, that could be an option. And I realise that, like, for example, there's always already a scout den at Mangataroto. Unfortunately, we have, the reason I chose Kaiwaka is because it's very central to all our kids. And we actually have people coming from Mangataroto now.
I like the idea of Kaiwaka, very central in being able to actually utilise Wellston as well, because Scouts seems to have dropped significantly over the years, but
Yeah.
there is a need for getting out there and into the adventure again, which is cool. We've got the basketball courts sort of coming in as well.
That's right, and that's why I mentioned that.
Be-
You see, maybe if it was an issue, we would be happy to tag on to that.
Working with them.
And, you know, if we could have our own space there, that would be,
Seems like it's like options that could possibly work there.
there are certainly options.
Yeah. Thanks, Mark.
Councillor Lambeth?
Yes, thank you, through the mayor. So if I hear you right, I don't think the raising of the money for the shed would be the problem. You need land and some piggyback on a facility which has already parking and courts that you could use for something. Am I on the right track there? Is that what
You
you?
are. Scouting New Zealand will actually assist with the build. So, you know, we're not, we're not penniless here. We have good support in New Zealand.
But access to those courts would be good for activities and that. But
Yeah, look, it's the good thing with the KSA is that it's a really good facility already. It has the open space, the bush is there. We actually made traps, the kids made traps, and so we've been catching mice and rats in the bush there, which is a bit of a thrill for them. Has that answered your question?
yeah, probably answered it too much with catching the rats and mice. Maybe.
That's what we're here for.
And the point is that you need a dedicated, because it can't, otherwise it's packing up and reassembling every time and.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. I mean, if we can go and put stuff on walls and, you know, have ropes and all sorts of things around, that's what we're after.
Are there any other questions? Well, thank you, Mark. Yes, I was, as you probably remember, a cub and a scout and a
Yeah,
member at Kaiwaka around your time, and we did have a building actually, didn't we? This is no longer there.
It's no longer there, yeah.
And then we moved into the basement of the Kaiwaka Sports Association.
We're also scouting at down here at Mangawai, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you had conversations with the Sports Association about?
Yes, and actually some of our members are actually on the board as well, so. Yeah.
Is there a possibility that you could actually get a piece of their license to occupy land there to put it?
Yeah, I don't think they've got that far down the track.
Yeah, okay.
They're just in, sort of early stages. Obviously, some thought would need to be put into where it goes, because, as soon as you put toilet and kitchen facilities into something, well, it needs to drain somewhere. So you need to have access to the facilities underground.
Okay, thanks very much for coming along. Appreciate it.
So good. Thanks for your time.
Next, we're moving to Jackie Fanning about the maintenance at Mangaroto Country Club. Welcome, Jackie. And Mark, welcome, Mark.
Okay, so. Just wake my computer up because it's got notes on it. Haven't started yet, have we?
Who's driving the screen?
Oh, I am. Well, okay, so Mark and I sit on the committee for the Mangaroto Recreation Society, which I'm just going to shorten to the MCC. It's a multi-use facility and property. So basically, into the guts of it, we need help to fund the future mowing costs so that we can continue to provide for the sporting and recreation and arts needs of our community. So we're not an affluent community. We have a lower medium personal income than the national average. We've got an increasing population. We have a lot of volunteers who give hundreds of hours for community initiatives in Mangaroto. It's a great place to live. Our time is precious. The people who do volunteer, we're quite stretched, but our community has limited funds to spare. We apply for and are very successful at getting grants from like places like Community Lotteries, Foundation North for community project development and renewals. These organisations don't fund services. So that's why we're here today, because we believe that mowing is an ongoing service and funding for those services is much harder to find. Okay, KDC, we believe that KDC's input in that is vital. So it's pretty amazing multi-purpose facility and property. It's an incorporated society with a charitable status. It's a community hub for sport, arts, cultural activities. It's 50 years old, 60 hectares or 140 acres of land and 3 buildings. It's an asset worth over $3.8 million. Okay, its annual turnover is about 2,000K. If we hadn't funded for appreciation last year, we would have broken even. Okay, it relies on the committee, affiliate clubs, groups, community, collectively volunteer thousands of hours every year to keep it available and usable for the community. We have a strategic plan, and that's for a thriving centre with recreational spaces for the people of Maungaturoto. So some of the multi-use facilities, it has a community walkway, which is about an hour-long loop that goes up to the Maungaturoto Wharf at the bottom here. That's the walkway areas. This is within the green areas is the country club. So it goes behind the high school as well with the motocross. It's a great way for people to get out outdoors. It's the only decent walkway in Maungaturoto. We don't have the big beaches like over here where people walk. This is it. It's the footpaths. There's a little loop in town, but you know, it provides a really important casual recreation opportunity. We've got junior rugby, grassroots of rugby in New Zealand. Without empowering these young ones, we don't have rugby in New Zealand. This is where it all starts. We have the Otamatea Hawks. They had 3 home games at the Maungaturoto Country Club this year. We got funding through Foundation North and have a community skate park. We have a bowls club. And on the walkway, we have a frisbee golf course, uses the walkway route, an orienteering course, and the Kaipara Hunt Club have a land as well. This is the old den, and it's the Community Arts Centre for the Arts Trust. We have motocross and repertory theatre is there. Inside the building, we have the squash club with the viewing platform, the 2 courts. We have a restaurant, a conference room that I'm sure you've all utilised, and we have a pop-up cinema as well. We are maximising the use. We have quiz nights, the use of this facility, multi-purpose facility. So KDC in the long-term plan says that they rely on community-owned and managed parks, and it will actively maintain and improve the network of parks and reserves through the Kaipara district. However, it also relies on community-owned and managed sports parks. We believe that the country club, that the MCC is part of this provision. And if we were owned, like the land was owned by the council, we would have been able to apply for the contract for service, but because we're not, we weren't eligible. So that's why I'm coming through this route. We're asking KDC to recognise our huge hours that volunteers put into this place by funding the costs of mowing. And that's the costs of the mowing there. Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Jackie, do we have questions? Councillor Williams?
Thank you. Thanks for your presentation. It's great to hear about this facility and everything that's available there for people to use. I just wondered, in the scheme of things, do the clubs that use the facility, do they put any money towards the mowing or the operational costs? That's, you know,
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, and they pay a membership and affiliate fee. But I do, you know, I've been on this committee for a couple of years now, and I do think, you know, some of you probably know this, but the hours that volunteers put into running this facility. I mean, this isn't, the kitchen people are the only paid staff. There's a little bit 10 hours a week for admin, but, you know, and then the sports groups that utilize the facility, and, you know, they're putting in hundreds of hours to keep their groups afloat. You know, we're not, you can't just keep doing more and more voluntary work. You know, this is an amazing facility run by volunteers. And, you know, council haven't had to pay for it. It's an asset worth $3.8 million that runs. We break even if we don't fund depreciation. I mean, it's incredible, really. And we need some help with mowing, because the person who currently does the mowing is of not great health. And we predict that we've probably only got a year or maybe left of.
We don't know what his future plans are.
Yeah.
But at the moment, we're benefiting from his goodwill in keeping the lawns done, but there's no certainty over just how long it's going to be. That's why we're coming to the council to see if we can, in the spirit of partnership, come to an arrangement which is to the benefit of everyone.
Yeah.
Councillor Canton.
Thank you for your presentation. I had no idea that that was all fell under the same umbrella. It's a massive piece of land.
Yeah.
You've got Connection Motorcycle Club.
No, that was on there.
Yeah.
No, I play squash there. My daughter performs in the theatre, and my son plays rugby. So, and we're from over here, so it's getting used across the district.
Yeah.
Did you put in a grant in the last council grant application?
Yeah. So the volunteer that currently mows the lawn, mows the areas. We help him out with fuel costs. He uses his own mower. So that we did, thankfully, we're very grateful for it, received money for that and to upgrade our driveway as well. So we do get KDC's support, but it's, I mean, this is, it's quite a bigger.
You mentioned upgrading our driveway. It is our driveway because it provides access to the council sewage ponds as well.
Yeah.
Just saying.
I mean, in the LTP, it talks about partnerships, that to keep them usable, for these facilities usable. And we see this mowing contract as a partnership. We provide $3.8 million worth of assets. The community bought it, built it, run it, and we see it supporting us with the mowing contract, as a partnership, and recognising, the huge amount of work that the community puts into this place.
Councillor Lambeth.
Thank you. Through the mayor, just going through that, there'd be a lot of free entry and free to the general public, and there'd be a small percentage who actually pay all highage and like I can't imagine there's a for the dog park or the skate park, people are paying to use that. It's just
it's a community facility.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
The dog park hasn't happened yet, but the deal we're working on is the idea that in order to have use of the dog park, you have to be a member of the club. So we pick up a subscription fee rather than a pay per use.
Yeah, and also looking at the needs of the community. There's nowhere to walk dogs. We don't have the beach. We don't have.
So how much was granted for the fuel?
It was 6,000 all up.
Okay.
But that was driveway maintenance as well. I think it was around about half. Yeah. Excuse me, I've got a croaky voice, but that's from two local mowing contractors. Now you can see the big items are the walkway and the sports field maintenance. That's another 5 minutes there.
Sorry.
Yeah, okay, one last question, thank you.
Through where the walkway is obviously the old golf club sort of area part. Used to be sort of, they were running sheep on that to keep it all down and that, they're still doing that and.
Yeah, but it's like, yeah.
But there is a mown path.
Yeah.
We kept down to reasonable level, but wet in place at the moment, outside my back gate.
Yeah, I mean, it would be unusable if it wasn't mowed.
Hmm.
It's, he's got a lot of sheep on there at the moment and it's still between, halfway up your calf, like a
The mown strip.
so apart from the mown strip, yeah.
Thanks very much for your presentation. I think, Mark, I'll ask you a rhetorical question in closing. Have you looked at the amount of money contributed to parks and libraries from the Otametea Award versus what is being spent?
No.
Otametea Award. Okay, well, maybe you might like to look at that. It might bolster your argument.
The philosophical difficulty with that.
Well, you may have, but it might suit you.
However,
Anyway.
yes, I mean, particularly bearing in mind that we're looking at a maximum 4% rate rise in the future and other.
What I'm saying is it may aid your argument, not.
Yeah.
Okay.
It slips from my mind at some stage in the past, but I dismissed it, but I'll go back and have a look. Yeah, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Time.
Okay, next we are moving to Sportsville Dargaville, stage 2 of the project.
Kia ora, I'm Stu Middleton, I'm the Space Manager for Sport Northland. Today I am speaking on behalf of the Cody Coast Recreation Society and Sportsville Stage 2 Working Group. And just got a presentation to quickly go through. Hopefully this isn't new to anyone sitting here, it's more of a reminder and an update on exactly where we're at. So hopefully I'll flip through this reasonably quickly. Identified back in 2021 and prioritised as a key project for the region and for Kaipara and the Kaipara Spaces and Places Plan. Off the back of that, we ran multiple community consultation sessions and we got a good understanding of what the community wanted. We put that we engaged consultants and did some needs analysis. We actually ended up doing 2 lots of those to determine that yes, there was a need for what they wanted, which was an indoor facility that could be used for sport, rec, community activities, a space that can be used for all. Once we've determined that there was actually a need and what they wanted, we then engaged consultants to do some feasibility work. We determined the appropriate or the best location, that it could actually be possible to fit within the current infrastructure and the type of structure that we could be working with. So what we started out with was a vision for a solid structure in the realm of about $8 to $9 million. Reasonably quickly determined that a fabric structure was going to be just as good. Acoustics were going to be what we're after. Air handling, so temperature control, etc. And the price was going to be about half of that. So we're looking at about that $4.5 million mark for a fabric structure for a 2-court indoor facility. Once we got to that point, we then did some business case work to determine if we were to build that, was it going to be financially viable? The answer is yes. If we do build a facility of that nature, we should be able to actually break even with the business model that we've identified. We were lucky enough early on to get funding through lotteries, so about 85,000 from lotteries, about 20,000 from Sport NZ, and that's what we've done all of that initial due diligence work with. Because this is a regionally recognised or prioritised project, Northland Regional Council have allocated 1.2 million to the project. There is a caveat that the District Council actually have some sort of support in their long-term planning, so hence the reason for me here today, just to remind you that there is a need for you guys to get in behind it to actually unlock that $1.2 million there. We've had very good conversations with Foundation North, put in an EOI, had some on-site meetings, asked for an application to be made. So we're putting in a $1 million application to Foundation North, which we've had good feedback on. Also just wanted to remind that this isn't sort of like a new idea and a new group. This is a project that is stage 2 of an existing community asset that is actually already benefiting the community and showing that it's it's very viable. So 2018, there was a bare space, well, not so much a bare space. This is what Memorial Park looked like 2008. We then shifted through to Sportsville being developed. So around about the end of 2000, I think it was about September 2018. Tennis courts, and this is the existing sports facility, which has changing facilities, has 4 changing rooms, meeting spaces, storage spaces, commercial kitchen. And that is very well utilised currently. What we're proposing is to put an indoor facility on the back of that and utilise the existing infrastructure within that. So we're not having to duplicate changing spaces, toilet spaces. That's already there. So hence the reason for a reduced cost as well. Next slide to show that covered. That is again only a second stage. We do envisage a third stage, and the community was also asking for external seating, much like if you've been to Whangarei and you see Arena, where you've got seating over an outdoor space, so you can have community events, even Toll Stadium, you know, that sort of stuff. Guy Fawkes, other sort of things. So the idea here is that there's improved connection through to the existing rugby infrastructure, and that there's some sort of outdoor flow onto improved fields as a future stage as well. We've got some images of what we think it can look like, could look like, and I do have Luke from Shade Systems. So we've just recently engaged Shade Systems as the to take us through this detailed design phase and into the build phase. And if we just click, we've got about a minute of a bit of a fly through here, which is what Shade Systems have.
No pickleball courts.
Hopefully pickleball, yeah, home for pickleball. Tennis courts, netball courts you just saw previously. They are Sportsville are looking at putting markings onto one of those. So outdoor pickleball prefer to be indoors with the wind and so forth. So I could see it's being the home of pickleball on the western side. So Shade Systems, they've done a hell of a lot of these sort of projects across the country. They are local in Dargaville, and they're involved. So we're hoping that it should be a partnership. Bear in mind, this is just the first they get it, but effectively multi-use indoor courts, very much like Mackay Stadium and Whangarei, where these can be, the courts can be covered, they can be used for commercial events, they can be used for, like we host concerts, we host trade shows, a range of other things outside of sport, large cultural events like Papa, etc. as well, and also sports like pickleball. We're also working with Circus Kumani, hoping that we can get it structurally able to actually host these events as well. So that's that in a nutshell. The last slide is just a reminder of where we're at in the pathway. So we're basically at a point where we just need KDC to commit into this LTP. We unlock the other funding. As you're aware, once one commitment occurs, we can get that roll-on effect, and hopefully we'll have that 3 million be able to build a facility that provides a huge amount of opportunity for the Kaipara, especially in the west there.
Great, thanks, Stu. I'll just take a couple of questions. Councillor Lambeth and then Councillor Williams.
Stu, just rip through the numbers. At this stage, 2.3 are promised without ours. Does that sound right?
Yeah, 2 point, yeah, around about.
And our promise or commitment is going to be
So your promise is going to unlock the first 1.2. Once that 1.2 is unlocked, Foundation North Farm will likely to put their $1 million in. All of a sudden, we've got about 3.7. We're hoping 2.7. So therefore, from there, it's going back to lotteries. So we've been going to lotteries for small amounts to get the initial work done. We'll be going back to them for
So how much was the cost of the whole project?
it ends on fit out.
Mr. Williams?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Thanks for your presentation. The 1.2 million, is that coming from the regional sporting facilities rate?
Correct, yes.
Okay. And then you've asked the question about what funds you would be expecting from KDC, or so you've got a figure in mind?
So 500 to 600,000. The rate was originally, it had to be dollar for dollar matched. We have sat down with NRC and they are happy for it to be more like that half mark. So they're putting in 1.2 million, they said a minimum of 500,000. They would expect something just over that 500,000 mark for them to be happy to actually move forward. The more we get, the easier it's going to be to get to the end. But first and foremost, we just want to unlock that 1.2 million. Then I think we've got a good snowball effect from there to start getting to the end. I mean, at the moment, there are no publicly accessible indoor facilities in the Kaipara. The region as a whole is sorely short of them. So currently with your population, you're about 3 to 4 indoor courts short. Whangarei is about 10 plus short. The Far North almost similar. So as a region, we are desperately in need of indoor facilities. And yeah, the Kaipara is a good example. We rely on Ministry of Ed, and those are substandard half the time, very hard to get into at, they're very limited in the timing.
Okay, well, thank you very much for coming to speak to us, Stu. Much appreciated.
Thank you very much.
Next up, we have the Mangaroto Library Action Group. Welcome, Paul Chambers and Kathy Cullen.
That's all right. Morning. Thank you for this opportunity to come and speak. My name is Paul Chambers. I'm the chair for the Mangaroto Residents Association. And this is Kathy Cullen, who is the head librarian of the Mangaroto Library. And I'm speaking on behalf of the Residents Association, but also on behalf of the Friends of the Mangaroto Library. And the goal today is to present our priorities of our community, of what we want to see in the new library, and hopefully for its inclusion in the long-term plan. I do have some handouts, but I'll get those out at the end if that's right. So a little bit about our library. We've got a long history. You probably know a fair bit of it. I know you've had big discussions around it, but it's been there a long time. Kathy tells me that the first meeting of the the Mangaroto Library was held 153 years ago. It's pretty good, eh? So apparently that makes it one of the oldest non-city libraries in the country. One of the great strengths that we see is that it's always been a community library. It's been locally led, supported by volunteers, and shaped by the people who live in Mangaroto. And we want to retain that. At the same time, the loss of the building, as you are well aware of, has given us an opportunity to think seriously about the future of Mangaroto library services and what it could be for the next generation. So for the last couple of months, the Residents Association and the Friends of the Library have worked together to hear from the community. We had a public meeting, which some of you were at. Thank you for coming to that. That was a good time. So we had that meeting. We've had a community survey that we've sent out and had feedback from, and then we had another community meeting as well. And from that, the feedback's been pretty consistent. So people want to retain the strengths of the community-led library, but they also want to see it become more than a library. So they want to see a modern library and a community hub that serves Mangaroto and the wider central Kaipara community. From that consultation, we've agreed on a list of priorities, which is what I'll give you in a second. So we'd like you to consider those for inclusion in the long-term plan. So the handout goes into more detail, but I've just summarised them into 5 main priorities. So number 1 is we want a library that remains community-led. So we value our volunteers, the local leadership and community involvement, such as Kathy, who's puts in a huge amount of time into this. But we would also like to see greater partnership with KDC. So hopefully that would have your professional, operational and financial support in the running of the future library. We're open to exploring how that could look, including hybrid models that combine the strengths of community leadership with the expertise and resource of the council. We feel that greater support could help us achieve priorities that we're currently struggling to provide, including longer opening hours, expanded programs, and improved services. So that's priority number one, community-led library, but hopefully with more partnership with council. Number two is our strong preference is to remain on the existing library site. We feel that it is right in the heart of Mangasaroto, and it's very accessible to a lot of people, particularly to the retirement village that's behind it. So we would love to see it remain on that site if possible, but to utilise as much of that site as it possibly can. There's not a lot of room behind it, but if we could get some of the land of Chorus, who's just behind, that would be awesome as well. Our third thing is we want a modern library that provides excellent core library services. So like books, obviously, but we'd like to see like free Wi-Fi, public computers, printing, photocopying, children's spaces, local history resources, digital access and opportunities for lifelong learning. We would like to have comfortable seating, quiet reading and study spaces, flexible meeting rooms or areas that can be used for community activities. Ideally, we'd like the library to also provide opportunities for community services such as a JP to be there, maybe some of our councillors to be in there to meet with the community, things like that. Number four, the new building is to be welcoming and accessible to everyone. So it should serve children, families, older people and those with disabilities, and a place where people actually want to spend time there. And number five, we want the new library to honour the heritage and character of Mangasaroto by incorporating elements of the existing library wherever possible, while creating a new building that's designed complements the existing town and sort of fits in with the style of Mangasaroto, if that makes sense. So we want something modern, future focused, but also something that belongs in Mangasaroto. And importantly, we want the community to be consulted and having a genuine voice in that whole process. So we're asking for it to be included in the long-term plan. We want to develop the right partnership of the ongoing library services and what that can look like. And thirdly, we want a pathway through the long-term plan for planning, consultation, design and construction of a permanent library and a community hub. Can I just take one more minute? It's very quick, but it's important. We understand that there's $114,000 available of Better Off funding that's still remaining, and we would strongly support that there gets used to get this thing going. So with the consultation, planning, all of that sort of stuff, we'd love to see that money used to kickstart this so it becomes a priority thing in the long-term plan and it's not waiting for ages and going out for years. We'd like to see it action quickly. So we feel that with that money, we could get this thing going and off the ground quickly. So we're not waiting years without a library. Yeah, that's basically it. I think we've got a great opportunity. It's a shame we've lost the building, but we're excited to see what we can do together and to have a really good library for the future. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Paul. Do we have any questions? Councillor Szymanski.
It sounds like the list of wants is huge.
That's coming, yes.
Yeah. 104 square meters, 110 square meters, I think that site is.
Yes.
You're looking at a double story, because you're needing a lot of rooms and consultation rooms too, considering the library is actually going to take quite a big part of it itself.
Currently, the library that's there's the Plunkett rooms on one side. I'm assuming you guys have seen all these plans, right? Yeah. So by using that space as well, it would almost double our space of the library. So we're not, ideally we'd have flexible spaces that we might be able to wall off, like temporary walls.
Fit it all in.
Yes, we think so, yeah.
Yes, the library would take about a third of the area, but.
Yeah, okay.
Are there any other questions?
Sorry,
That was for Lambeth.
a Plunkett still intending to go back in there?
Yes.
That was a no.
Okay, well,
Yes.
thanks for coming to see us, Paul and Kathy, much appreciated.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for your.
Thanks.
Next up, we have the Tinapai Resource Management Group. Welcome, Mina Henare Toka.
Just take one and pass it along, thank you. To start. My name's Mina Henare Toka, I'm Tinapai Resource Management Unit. We're a not-for-profit organisation registered with charities. And this is our proposal. Kaipara does not have to wait for government to decide what environmental management will look like. We already have the people, the knowledge, the institutions and the beginnings of a model that could allow Kaipara to design its own future. A new, innovative and balanced future incorporating Mātauranga Māori, the Māori worldview. How am I going to inspire you, the councillors, to consider the proposal and the largesse that comes along with that proposal in 5 minutes? My only resolve is to tell you what inspires me in my mahi as a kaitiaki, protecting the natural environment and our resources. I returned from my OE after 10 years at the age of 30 in 1992, fresh from Tuscany, Italy, and a failed attempt to marry. In my first year home, I took my cousin to a miri at Mahia Gisborne for her healing. There was a lot of spiritual stuff going on around me, and at that stage of my life, I wasn't particularly interested in any of it. I did, however, have an artist healer do me a drawing. Oh, he says, there's a rangatira. I asked him, what is a rangatira? Then he says, there's a lot of raru, a lot of raru. I had to ask him, what is raru? I know what those kupu mean now. Fast forward to 2007. I died on the operating table. It's true, you know, you float towards the white light. It was here in the light that I met my tribe. There were hundreds of Māori, no division, all one, and all gathered around me and excited. There was a voice, the united voice. We're going on a journey. Next minute, we all turn into the mist. We come down upon the Kaipara, through the funnel, and stop at our marae. It was here they revealed the marae vision to me. When I woke up in recovery, I was crying, and the nurse asked me, what's wrong? And I said, they sent me back. I can tell you now that after such an experience, nobody wants to come back. Fast forward to 2009, another operation, but this time the message came in a spiritual healing a couple of days later. Again, I met my tribe, all of them, one voice. This time the message was clear. Marae, marae, marae. And so after many years of working in Te Taio and engaging with iwi, hapu, marae, local government and others, I have come to this moment when I'm given 5 minutes to present a paper that could change the way we look at the world. We live in a world increasingly driven by power, money and greed. Is this what we want our future generations to aspire to? Kao, there is another way. Make our marae environmental hubs of the Kaipara. We have 24 marae in Kaipara. We have Te Uriahau and Te Runanga o Ngāti Whātua. We have Greens wanting to inject $2.3 billion into marae for resilience and emergency services. We can do better than that. In May of this year, I met with Mayor Larson, Councillors Szymanski and Rogers, together with Te Uriahau and Northern Lead Regional Council. At that meeting, I provided them with a bundle of documents that included Tinapai Resource Management Unit's catchment plan to demonstrate capacity and capability. and a discussion document building resource management units across the Kaipara. Last week, I circulated a framework document. That document is a working document and can be added and edited as progress allows. The framework itself is intended to evolve through kōrero, tikanga, experience and collaboration. I'm not asking you to decide today what the future of environmental management in Kaipara should look like. I'm simply asking you to open the door. Give us the opportunity to bring local government, marae, kaitiaki, iwi and hapu together to explore where we can build something better. That is the future I'm asking you to consider. I've also put forward the proposed, recommendation, not resolution, that Kaipara District Council receives a bundle of documents and framework agreement presented by Tinapai Resource Management Unit, agrees to explore in partnership with iwi, hapu, marae, kaitiaki and local government the potential for a marae and community-based environmental management model within the Kaipara District Council, and supports a future workshop or who to consider the framework, identify opportunities for collaboration and determine whether elements of the proposed model could contribute to the future delivery of environmental management functions within Kaipara.
Thank you very much, Mina. Do we have questions, please? Councillor Tania.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. I've got a couple of questions, if I may, Your Worship. The first question is, have you done some sort of reaching out to the marae around what their capability is in relation to, fulfilling the goal of having, having environmental units across their particular areas?
Yes. The marae at this stage are not in the capability or capacity, my marae in particular. And that's why Makaurau Miru and I formed Tinapai Resource Management Unit, because if we were going to wait for the marae to come to that, be capable of doing what we do, we wouldn't have started anything. So there is a proposal in that document that I circulated last week, the framework agreement, that actually, it actually says there that the marae, at this stage, a lot of marae won't be capable to do anything, the kind of work that we do, but there's time there for it to become capable. And in the meantime, there are lots of kaitiaki out there, volunteers already, that are already doing the work, like me and Makaurau. And the reason I presented this document to the Mayor in May is because it includes our catchment plan. And in the catchment plan, you can see all of the work that we do. We make submissions to the Crown. We engage with council and all of the above.
Thank you. I further question, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Tania. Are there other questions for Mina? No further questions? Well, thank you very much, Mina, for seeing us.
Thanks.
We're now moving to our final public forum presentation from the Mangawhai Activity Zone, Future Development, Kate Arbuckle and Ken Raywood. Welcome, Kate and Ken.
A little bit short on printed materials, so I've got it here, just passing on, but we do have an electronic version that we can send through after that.
So thank you, everybody, for the opportunity for us to present here. The relationship we have enjoyed very much with KDC has evolved over the years to something very, very important. And I think the relationship that has happened albeit by evolution rather than straight out planning, is that we've got proof that council can work with a group of volunteers on long-term developments, not just one-off situations. As part of MAS, as part of our own planning, we're very much aware of the growth that Mangawhai is facing. It's going to be wonderful with the new developments that are happening, both from domestic housing, commercial, industrial growth. We also are very sensitive that the community and council, along with the normal growth, the population growth that will come, that we put in place planning now that will generate the type of lifestyle that has made Mangawhai so incredibly popular. So we have worked very closely on quite a number of additions to the Mangawhai activity zone. One thing which gave us a little bit of heart, Mangawhai Matters did quite a considerable survey across Mangawhai and identified that 1 out of every 3 visitors that come into Mangawhai visit MAS. It's very much a part of the reason that Mangawhai has grown and enjoyed the growth, because I know from personal experience with many friends, it's the kids that tell the parents that they have to move to Mangawhai so they can be close to MAS. What we are going to be proposing is the commencement of what we see as phase 2 development plan for MAS. We've come an awful long way with what we've been able to put in place. It's a world-class event area, but now we need to move further. We've been blessed that we've kept available a lower field area, knowing that once we got on top of everything else that we were developing, we had an area that we could then add new eventing and new parts to. So what we are going to be proposing is that in our what we call the lower field, which when you look coming into MAS, it's just down below the skate park area. We have done all the groundwork to facilitate how we can introduce 4 pickleball courts. So you know from earlier on, they're pretty popular.
You know about that.
It's like he's been around the track.
So yeah, so we've got the ground, we've got the concept, we've got the people, and we got to work with council on how we best introduce these. We also want to introduce a second 3x3 basketball court. We've got one there at the moment. We are looking at moving it a little bit and putting another court right beside it. That'll enable competitions and greater involvement. The one court is terrific, but you need more to get the people working through. 3x3, 3x3 as it's called, was in the Commonwealth Games, even with their restricted activities. We got a 3rd for the ladies and a 4th for the boys. Basketball's still growing like crazy, and as part of basketball, the 3x3 is the fastest growing. So pickleball and 3x3 are very critical parts. We would overlay the 3x3s with a 5-a-side soccer football pitch, so we'll get multi-use out of it on the area that we have. We will put in a permanent sound shell and event area in the southern part, which will be able to cater for future events, fully capitalise on the amazing Santa parade and Christmas concerts that we have. When we put this full proposal through to council, it will include both the costings, the timing, the phasing that we have with it. We have one other major area because to discuss. I can expand on timing because this involves some other people. The shared path, which starts up beside the club and goes all the way around Maz and on down through to the museum, is wonderful, but it's not being used. We want to expand the usage to include a Tai Chi trail, walking trail, which this is a global growth exercise area, targeting seniors so that we have not just a MAS which has got all the kids and all of their focuses looked after. We want a senior area so that we can use it around. So we envisage that every 20 metres or so there'd be seating, there'd be exercise areas that groups, individuals can walk through, and we develop a whole program going with it. And this covers both council and other licensed to occupy residents there. We're in the throes of developing the costings for this. We see the funding coming from very much the areas that we've worked together on. We've been successful with our community sponsorship programs. We see this being able to extend from that and to give us a good underwriting. Local funding initiatives plus council development programs that we can identify together. So it will keep Mangawhai totally up with everything that's developing around all other communities and keep our nose well ahead of everybody else.
And if I could just, excuse me, add to that, it would be utilising an area that currently is underutilised. The football club, the cricket club, everybody's been offered the use of those fields, and nobody's taken up on it for several years. Twice now I've offered it to the football club, once to the cricket club. So it's an area that's currently underutilised, and it would be a really good opportunity to, perhaps cater for the pickleball club, cater for outdoor events with the stage, and just increase the use of the 3x3 opportunity.
Great, well, thank you very much for your presentation. We've got any questions? Councillor Williams.
Thanks for your presentation, Ken and Kate. Great vision, and I just to be clear, you've got there about additional parking, and you've identified 3 potential locations. I just wondered where they might be, if you can see that information.
Yeah, parking is already a premium. It's already an issue. As that whole area grows, it's going to be a main one. We've got an area in what we would call the southern car park there in front of the cafe. That has a sandhill between the road and itself. That would provide a great extra amount of car parking area. As you come in to the left of where the big board is, there's an area inside on our licence area that would be readily available now to expand the parking there. As well as time demands, we could take that hill down, which is a sand hill, and open that up so that we would have 2 very strongly positioned and highly capable locations for car parking. And we would propose what we call the overflow part now, which council has been looking after behind St John's and the fire trucks, that be looked at how it could be best designed to fit everything fully in. So we've got 3 locations that are there.
Thank you for this.
Hey, thanks very much for coming to see us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to take a 15-minute break now. We'll come back in at 11:40, please. Thank you. Welcome back, everybody, and welcome to Councillor Gibson, who has managed to join us online.
It's coming from a dark place, he is.
Are you able to hear us okay, Councillor Gibson?
Must be able to hear the smile comes through.
Yeah, good, thank you. We are now moving to the confirmation of the open minutes from the council meeting on the 29th of July 2026 and the extraordinary meeting on the 5th of August 2026. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Williams, and a seconder, please. Councillor Rogers, thank you. Is there any discussion? There is no discussion. Okay, we'll put that to the vote. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. We are now moving to our decision items, and the first item on the agenda is the approval of the Kaipara engineering standards. Welcome, Lloyd Barton.
Thank you, Your Worship. Good morning, councillors. So the new hybrid engineering standards, as you'll recall, largely based on the WDC Whangarei District Council standards, but with the transportation section being replaced by the equivalent chapter of Waikato's regional infrastructure technical standards. During the development of the standards, modifications have been made to ensure we encourage innovation, have discretion to approve alternatives that optimise the whole of life features of new infrastructure, communicate recommended standards rather than hard and fast rules, and that standards also reflect the local conditions in Kaipara District. The draft standards were issued for public submissions from the 10th of June to closing on the 10th of July. For consultation, it was a different format. It was draft standards based on having a cover page which explained the hybrid approach and use of discretion to facilitate growth. PDFs of the relevant sections of the Whangarei District Council standards and the RITS Waikato standards with modifications highlighted, and also the modifications for KDC's local conditions. We did receive 8 submissions. They are attached in attachment A and summarised in attachment B, along with council officers' suggested responses to those submissions. So quickly just running through the submissions, 2 submissions were receiving support. One submission suggests that the engineering standards be put on hold pending the outcome of local government reform. One seeks a stricter application of GEO4, which is an Auckland Council guideline for water-sensitive stormwater design. Another submission points out the firefighting provisions in the draft for non-reticulated sites is excessive, and a submission seeks more detailed controls about localised stormwater issues. And finally, another submitter suggests that council officers do not apply the standards. In terms of council officers' response or recommended amendments as a result of the submissions, we do agree that submitter Rothwell's point about firefighting is a valid point, and the minimum volume of firefighting water to be stored for dwellings has been removed from the final version for adoption. That matter can be resolved through hearing of submissions on the proposed district plan, and also noting that other factors such as response times can have more of an impact in terms of mitigating on-site water storage. We also agree that the reference to New Zealand Standard 4509 and yes, that to the national standard should also be incorporated into the final document. Other minor corrections have been made, and going through the final version, we picked up a few minor amendments with regard to soakage devices, feasibility testing. Certainly a lot of detail there. And you will note the attachment is a consolidated version of the engineering standards. So it brings those, instead of using links, it brings it into a published consolidated document. which I think will be easier for users. So that's the rationale behind that, and I thank my colleagues George Hewlett and Rick Harvey for pulling that document together. It was a big job to do, but they have delivered. So finally, following approval, the engineering standards will be published on the council's website and will be downloadable in totality or by chapter. And David Usma, who's been my technical advisor from Woods Partners, is on here to answer any questions, as well as myself, through the chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Lloyd. Does anyone have any questions? Councillor Canton?
Yeah, Your Worship. If we've done away with a minimum requirement for water storage for firefighting, is that just going to be left up to whoever's processing building consent to decide what's suitable?
Yeah, look, it will be subject to, I guess, further debate, so to speak, through the proposed district plan. But explain a little bit on it. The operative district plan at the moment has an advice note, and it talks about appropriate level of water being provided on site. That's the extent of it. Now, the proposed district plan doesn't have any reference to minimum amounts to be stored on site. I do know that Fire and Emergency Services New Zealand have made a submission, which, in very much in summary, seems to try to introduce some level of on-site waste firefighting water on site. It'd be up to the hearings panel to consider the merits of that, the arguments both for and against, and make a decision.
And then that would filter into this?
What I'm recommending is in terms of the engineering standards, we leave it out and leave it to the proposed district plan.
Okay.
If anything comes back, it will be through the proposed district plan. But certainly there's no guarantee of that. That needs to be considered and I guess evidence put forward to support whatever the views are on that aspect. Yeah.
Councillor Szymanski.
Just for that word, thanks, Worship. With the fire, I've been to several fires where there's been plastic tanks and the plastic tanks are close enough to the house that by the time fire service gets there, the house is fully involved and the plastic tanks melted and there's no water available anyway. Is there provision to actually have the likes of so far away from a distance from the property from the house, or a concrete tank installed as opposed to that sort of thing?
Well, potentially that could come up in terms of the only way you could do it would be through the submission from Fire and Emergency Services through the proposed district plan. As to whether that has merit or not is a big question. I do know, well, just from personal experience, a lot of plastic tanks, as you say, close to houses. I'm not too sure, I'm not an expert on firefighting in terms of, apartments to support having separation between plastic tanks and dwelling.
Room in a lot of cases.
Any other questions arising? Councillor Williams.
Thank you, Worship. Just further to that questioning, Louise, I know that with the private plan changes, the water, you've got to have 50,000 litres in the new subdivisions. What advice is there in there for a new residential property? Do you have to have the 50,000 litres or is it just one tank minimum? I just wonder how that works on a smaller scale.
So there's really two. If it's, we don't know about it if it's reticulated because you have your hydrants. Sorry, I just can't remember off the top of my head if I do recall actually. At the moment, it is just in the operative district plan, it just has an advice note both to rural properties and residential properties. If you're not on a reticulated system, it says what's the word, I think it's in the report actually, I've got the word in. Yeah, here it is, that sufficient water supply is provided. Yeah, sufficient water supply is available. It's it's not really a rule, it's an advice note. And that came out of the submissions on the operative district plan. But wasn't around that time, obviously, but that's my understanding. It came out of the result of that process. So, you know, it's not a rule, which makes it really impossible to enforce. But it is there. So.
Thank you, Lloyd. All right, well, I think you can stand down now. You can come back very, very soon. Just stay there if you actually want to. Up to you. So we have a staff recommendation before you on page 15. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Lambeth and a seconder. Councillor Szymanski. Thank you, Councillor Lambeth.
Yes, it's all there in front of you. It's a long, I think we started this project of looking at the engineering standards around about 3.5, 4 years ago. So, and whether we incorporate into the district plan or we kept it separate, and I think we've got the best possible solution here to make a quick as possible result. Although that sounds a contradiction to what I just said, it's almost been 4 years getting here. So, yeah, a lot of work's been put in behind the scenes here to get this to this stage. Thanks.
Councillor Szymanski.
Yeah, nothing to add. Yeah, it's pretty basic stuff as long as it's not as long as things aren't getting held up within the system. But this is obviously to try and set those boundaries, and yeah, all good.
The other elected members wish to speak? Nothing further from you, Councillor Lambeth?
No, nothing further.
Okay, we'll put this to the vote. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. We're moving to item 4.2. The extension to contract resource consents consultant panel. Welcome back, Lloyd Barton.
Your worship. So yes, we're seeking on this item a 3.5-month extension to our contracts for our resource consent consultant panel members. An exception to allow for the extension is required under KDC's procurement policy. The panel comprises planning, development engineers, traffic engineers, ecologists, landscape architects and urban designers, and we first procured them in 2023 for a 3-year term. Which expires on runs up to the 1st of September 2026. The panel provides additional resources to our in-house team, along with specialist skills that we don't have in-house. Examples of that are ecology and landscape architecture, etc. The panel has been successful, I believe, in terms of assisting us deliver resource consents on time with 99%. A process within statutory timeframes. I think one of the things that's really helped with this is the contracts have a performance management component to them. So it helps in terms of dialogue back and forth between ourselves and the consultant in terms of how they're performing. It's now time to repeat the procurement and test the market once again to make sure we're getting best value for money. Unfortunately, it has got away from me in terms of getting the job done before the expiry date of the contracts. Hence me asking for the 3.5-month extension. That is to maintain service levels until we get the procurement concluded, which I expect to be by December. The procurement process will be very similar to what we did in 2023 with an open market 2-stage process, registration of interest followed by a request for proposals. And the list of preferred consultants for new membership on that panel will be reported back to council for its final decision. Happy to answer any questions through the chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Lloyd. Are there any questions? There are no questions. You can stand down. Thank you very much. We have a staff recommendation before us. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Canton and a seconder. Councillor Williams, thank you. Councillor Canton.
Your worship, yeah, happy to support a 3.5 months extension on that. We've had them for 3 years. It's going to keep up continuity, resource consent processing, and that's fine. Looking forward to seeing what comes back on the next panel that you proposed to us. Thank you.
Councillor Williams.
Not really much more to add, just it's procedural.
Any other elected members wish to speak? Nothing further, councillor Canton?
Nothing further, Your Honour.
Just to the vote, all those in favour say aye. Against? Motion carried. Okay, we are moving now on to item 4.3, which is the budget carryovers from 26 to 2027. Welcome, Jessie.
Thank you, Your Worship. Good morning, councillors. So this report is a yearly report that we bring to authorise the carry forwards of the CapEx budgets. We're seeking approval to carry forward a net 24.9 million of capital budget and 110,000 of operational budget from the 2026 year just gone through to this financial year. I'll give you a quick update of the numbers and the reasons behind the carryovers. So council had a total capital program of 83 million for the 2026 financial year. That included prior year carryovers and budget changes that occurred throughout the year. Of the 83 million, we delivered 54.9 million in capital expenditure during the year, which is the largest capital program this council's ever delivered and is a significant increase on the 40.3 million that we delivered the year before. There is 24.9 proposed to be carried forward, and then the remainder of that $83 million budget being 3.3 million is being returned rather than carried forward. So one point I just want to clarify when you look at attachment B is that the 24.9 million is the net carry forward. There are some negative carry forwards in the schedule, which primarily relate to timing and expenditure on roading projects. In gross terms, there are around 30.9 million of positive carry forwards, reduced by 6 million of negative carry forwards, resulting in the 24.9 we're asking for council to approve. The negative carry forwards effectively are just budgets that need to be deducted from the following year's budgets, rather than creating an additional surplus that won't be spent in 2027. In terms of the carry forwards, the majority relate to projects that are already underway or are deliberate multi-year programs where delivery was always expected to continue into 2027. The largest carryover is in wastewater at 8.4 million. This is predominantly the Mangahai wastewater program, including the golf course, subsurface discharge and treatment plant upgrades, as well as significant Dargaville and Mangawhai projects. We then have around 4.7 million in open spaces, with the Dargaville, Northern Wairoa Hall and municipal chambers making up the largest component. Roadings largely relating to the bridge programs and other multi-year programs, and there's no issue with carrying forward those amounts with NZTA either. In water supply, we're carrying forward 3.37 million, which includes those Logan Street water main renewals and the Waitoa Dam. The 2.26 million in stormwater relates to network improvements across the district, and the remaining carryovers are just spread around a number of lower value, smaller projects. Importantly, the annual plan 2027 was prepared on the basis that those projects would continue. So approving the carryovers essentially allows the budgets to align with the program and budget that's already been planned for 2027. It doesn't change the overall forecast financial position that we had in the annual plan. While the majority of these carry forwards are justified and relate to projects already underway, council should view this as a reminder ahead of the long-term plan. Ideally, budget should reflect the year in which expenditure is expected to occur, and the LTP process provides you with an opportunity to reset that phasing and delivery assumptions. Large annual carry forward requests should be the exception rather than the expectation, and I think that will be a focus of the upcoming LTP that will be asked to bring that down. But for now, just to let you know the impacts of the 3 million that we're not carrying forward, it's predominantly reserve funded, so it just returns to the reserves, or unused subsidy funding. Only around 600,000 related to loan funding. And so it's just a bit of treasury interest that you'll save, and we reflect the reduction in the loan funding in the opening balances of the next budget. So it means that we don't carry that debt, basically. There are also 110,000 of operational carryovers, 40,000 for cemetery master planning, 40,000 requested for training and development, and 30,000 to complete the Mangawhai Urban Planning and Alamar Crescent Master Plan. And Councillor Williams, you submitted a question asking what the spend to date on that operational project has been, and I'm confirming 111,000 so far out of a budget of 150,000. So overall, we're recommending approval of the carryovers so that the existing program of work can continue into 27 as planned, with the project teams continuing delivery and the budget's already being reflected in the 2027 management reporting. So I'm happy to take questions.
Thank you, Jessie. We have further questions, Councillor Williams and then Councillor Tani.
Thank you, Your Worship. You see, thanks for answering my question on what's been spent to date. So does that mean that, so the 30,000 requested, that isn't a carry over in some budget that's there, it's actually requesting an extra 30,000?
No, it was an existing budget of 150,000. They've spent 111. They haven't done it in the time that they thought they would. They're just finishing it off. And so it's not new budget that they're asking for. They're just asking to carry over to spend the rest of it in the next financial year.
Yeah, for clarifying.
Councillor Tani.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just note that, you know, the 54.8 million was a really good result and record delivery result. What gives us, well, how do we gain confidence that we can deliver a $78.4 million delivery program next financial year? You know, seeing as how we've spent 24.9 this year.
Tough question, because I think it is a little bit ambitious. I think we've done really well, and I think we are on trajectory to continue doing well. There are some big projects in there that we're delivering this year that are we're ready to spend the money now, so that should help. But I can't say that with confidence that we would achieve 77 million next year.
Are there any other questions? I'd like to ask a similar question to Councillor Tani, as we do have new leadership, and so let's ask our Chief Executive. Let's look forward to the 1st of July 2027 in terms of delivering the current year's budget and the requested 20-odd thousand of carryovers. How do you see that being enacted and executed?
Thank you, Your Worship. So it is a good point around carryovers. They're not ideal, but with a number of projects being multi-year projects and large-scale projects, they are inevitable, and they do depend on timing related to procurement and other issues as well. So it's not necessarily a bad thing that there are carryovers. Having an ambitious capital program is something that this council deemed was important in terms of delivering to the community, and that's already been communicated through your annual planning processes. And I think that's a good way to make sure that you're communicating to your community that you are intending to deliver those projects. So again, a good thing. In terms of how the organisation scales up to deliver against that ambitious program, as an organisation, Roding, where you have a lot of your spend, the team is now in final stages of recruiting some additional staff to ensure that we've got project management resource, etc., that can help deliver. So there are some very, very large scale programs there still to go. With waters, given what is happening with water transition, some of those projects will transition over to the new water entity as well, but you are seeing now the team delivering against some very, very large scale renewal projects. So, you know, I think as an organisation, we should be proud of what we're delivering. Our communities are already seeing that delivery out there, and we will ensure that our organisation has got the capability and capacity to program in all of those works. As Jesse has mentioned, we have got an opportunity through the long-term plan, so coming into the 1st of July, we will be clear with you in terms of deliverability. So if we cannot deliver those things in year 1, year 2, or year 3, we will look at how we phase some of those projects out. So we want to make sure that we are not setting ourselves up for continual carry forwards, but you can be assured that as an organisation and from a project and project delivery perspective, those are the conversations that are happening now with the GMs and the managers that are responsible in those capital delivery units. As for, I'll just cover off the operational budget carryovers. Those are some small scale operational budgets which we do need more direction on, and in particular around the urban planning piece, which will be coming to you through a briefing session next week. So there's an opportunity to revisit that and obviously reprioritise if you want us to do that. That money has not been spent.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. So just to come back to that point you've just raised there, on page 57 of the agenda, the 30,000 to carry forward on the Mangawhai urban planning and the Alamar Crescent master plan. I asked earlier, where does that Alamar Crescent master plan show in council's annual plan or the project or carryover lists? Did we get an answer to that?
Here, I can provide an answer. So in the annual plan 2026, council agreed, and it is in the papers, to fund $100,000 into that project. It's not listed on the projects list because it's an operational project, not a CapEx project. So that's probably where it's sort of gone a bit hidden. And then during the financial year just gone, an additional 50,000 was transferred to that project from another project. And that's what I know about it. So it was approved to do the master plan in the annual plan 26 at 100,000, and then a 50,000 got transferred from an Earlich Park project. As well.
Are there council decision papers that you can provide us?
For the first 100,000 I can, yes.
Okay, and they talk about the Alamar Crescent master plan, do they?
Yes, I can't remember exactly what they say about that, but I just know that it's in there and I can provide that. My understanding was there was 600,000, sorry, through this year, there was $600,000 project in for Alamar Crescent and Elson Ave, and I think the council had wanted a better plan to be done first to make sure that you weren't going to do some works there and then want to do a little bit more later. That's my understanding. So you wanted the plan done first before you took the works, the actual physical works, but I can provide those papers.
Okay, yeah, that would be good because I have looked at the previous annual plan and the current annual plan, and neither of them refer to an Alamar Crescent master plan. If we have indeed referred to it, we'll see where that was.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. So we will find those references, but again, I just want to reiterate that we've had clear direction around making sure that for any of these works commences, that staff will seek direction through the elected members, and we will bring any of that work through either a briefing or a council paper first.
Okay, so just for an action point from this meeting, if we could have those relevant decisions or document references about the Alamar Crescent master plan circulated to elected members before the end of the week, please.
No problem.
Thank you. Okay, are there any other questions? No, thanks, Jesse. You can stand down. We have a recommendation before us there. Someone be so bold as to move that. Thank you, Councillor Pani. And can I have a seconder, please, Councillor Canton? Thanks, Councillor Pani.
Yes, I think given the questions that have been asked around the carryovers and the responses, especially from the CEO, I'm comfortable to move this forward.
Councillor Canton.
Your worship, looking through these, some of these carryovers are unavoidable. I think you look at the wastewater disposal for on the golf course is a perfect example of it just taking a certain amount of time to progress. I'd like to think as a council we could try and be the little engine that can and push through as much capital development as we can. If we're putting money aside for it, let's find a way to resource that to actually get it done rather than pulling back. It's even if it's on a temporary basis, scale up to that level and get on top of it and then get back to a more comfortable operating level if that's possible. Thank you.
Do any other elected members wish to speak? Yeah, I certainly remember back in the past having this conversation last time round, and I asked the former chief executive to give us assurances that we could deliver the carryovers and the new budgets, and there were apparently processes put in place to ensure that it did happen, but something obviously didn't happen. So here we are, we'll start afresh. I think the point here is that if we are rating and taking those monies and rates in good faith that we're going to deliver what we've said we're going to deliver to the community, and then we end up not doing $20 million worth of it, it sort of looks a bit lame. So yeah, I know that there are always things that change and you can't always resource everything, but we need to be a little bit realistic in setting our work program rather than being super ambitious and just going way beyond what we can deliver. But yeah, I want to be forward-looking and ambitious as well and get as much done as we can. So I think we're shooting for the stars. Let's see how we get on. Back to you, Councillor Tani.
Reiterate what you've said. Also, like the responses we've had from the CEO, I think is pretty critical to seeing how we progress through this next little while and getting some of the delivery done on these projects. So thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll put this to the vote. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Against, the motion carried. We are now moving to item 4.4, the Dargaville Wastewater PS1 new build procurement plan approval. Welcome to Hamish Watson.
Your worship and councillors. We're here today to seek approval for the procurement plan for the Dargaville Wastewater PS1 new build project that is identified through the LTP. By doing this procurement approval, this will allow us to early procurement of the wet well and the emergency storage and associated infrastructure, while we continue with the finalised design and work out the civils contract, which will go to open tender. Some of the benefits of obviously this new build, it relocates this pump station to council land, currently situated on private land, so to get it onto council land, reduce the overflows, also create a complete new asset for council, which will provide a lot more resilience. So that's the background to it.
All right, thank you, Hamish. Do we have any questions? Councillor Lambeth.
Thank you, through the mayor. Hamish, the $2.5 million spend, that is something new. Will that be, I don't know if it's WPA scale or not, but will that be passed on to the new entity? Okay, so it's not maintenance that needed to be done, it's an actual improvement.
Yes, sir.
Asset. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions? There are no other questions. Thank you, Hamish. You can stand down. We have a staff recommendation before us. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Canton, thank you. And a seconder? Councillor Lambeth. Thanks, Councillor Canton.
Happy to support option 1 on this. Looking at it, they've hunted around, they found, it's only 2 suppliers capable of manufacturing what they're looking at putting in. It's coming in under budget and will be handed over to the new entity anyway. So I think this is an easy option to take.
Mr. Lambeth.
Nothing to say was all in my question. Thank you.
Does anybody else wish to speak? Yeah. Okay, in that case, we will put this to the vote. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Against. Motion carried.
It's not significant accent there.
I look like it might have been.
Yeah. It's like South African accent.
Yeah, I approve.
Okay, we are now moving to item 4.5, the Mangawhai Harbour Working Group appointment of a new chair. Welcome to Michael Day.
Your Worship, good afternoon, elected members. This is a procedural paper. So earlier this year, a Mangawhai Harbour Working Group was established with Mark Farnsworth chosen to chair the working group. For personal reasons, the current chair has tendered his resignation as chair, and we will need to now appoint a new chair for the working group. Colin Leach has been nominated to assume the role as chair, subject to council endorsement. So, we can get the recommendations on screen at some stage. Paper is recommending that Colin Leach chairs the working group. Notes that Mark Farnsworth will remain on the working group as an independent appointee. And I'm recommending a new recommendation C, which is separate to what's in your paper. That is to the effect that notes that as a result of recommendation A, Mangawhai Matters will appoint one representative to the working group. And that is because Leach was a previous Mangawhai Matters representative, and he will now be the independent chair of the working group. Happy to take questions.
Are there any questions? There are no questions. Thank you, Michael. You can stand down. Okay, well, I'm happy to move that amended staff recommendation. Do I have a second? Mansky, thank you. Did anything come out of that printer? No. Okay. What's the printer doing? Is it just sort of sitting there making whirring noises, is it?
No,
Oh, don't worry about it. Oh, you print it out, but running out of time. So, yeah, I think firstly I just want to thank Mark Farnsworth for chairing this working group and getting things up and running for us, and agreeing to continue on as a working group member capacity. He certainly has a lot to contribute with his knowledge around the harbour and mangrove issues. Colin Leach has agreed to step up into this chairmanship role, and for those of you that don't know Colin, he has an outstanding and extensive background. I'll just give you a little bit of information. He's a highly experienced international executive director, business leader, more than 40 years of senior leadership experience, spanning industries, including manufacturing, building products, finance, travel, and industrial sectors across New Zealand, Australia, Europe, Asia, Africa, and the Americas. He has a BSc in chemistry and a BCom in economics from Auckland. And he was awarded the Senior Scholar in Economics. And his corporate experience is extensive, coming through a strong background through Fletcher Challenge and ending up being the Chief Operating Officer of Aliaxis Group, they say, which where he was a group industrial group lead there with a €3 billion revenue and 18,000 employees and operations in 45 countries, and heavily involved in the local Mangawhai community through the Harbour Restoration Society and Mangawhai Matters and the Harbour Sustainability Project he was leading. And he's been on the board of the museum and various other roles and the steering committee. So very, very grateful to Colin to agree to step up into that role and take this important piece of work forward. And I did have a seconder, and that was Councillor Szymanski.
Hearing the accolades of Colin Leach, well, surely he's up for the task. Mangawhai Harbour is a much needs a good working group to ensure that the continuation of the harbour is actually working to its best abilities. But in saying that, I want to congratulate Mark Farnsworth on his recent accolades, but thank him for all that he's done as part of his basically support and volunteering efforts that he's done over the years. It's sad to see him go out for personal reasons, but good to see him stay in and be a guide.
Thank you, Councillor Szymanski. Councillor Jepson.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'd like to also acknowledge the good fashion that Mark Farnsworth brought to the conception of this group and how strong it's going to be in a process which is quite complicated in terms of how it works, not just with the mangrove, but with other issues that impact on it. And I'm pleased to see that Colin has stepped up. He's certainly qualified to carry on the good work. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Jepson. Any other elected members wish to speak? Councillor Williams.
Thank you, Worship. Yes, it's very fortuitous that Colin Leach is to take on this responsibilities chair. The responsibilities of this working group are that they will advocate for central government and agencies. They will also work with the Northern Regional Council to ensure sufficient funding is available for undertaking activities and works in the coastal marine areas. So it's a very important working group, and we're lucky to have Colin Leach stepping into this role. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Williams. Any other elected members wish to speak? Okay, we'll put this to the vote. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. We are now moving to item 4.6, which is a response to the petition on off-leash dog times in Mangawhai during the off season. Welcome to Nina Tui.
Good afternoon, Your Worship and councillors. Nice to see you. So just quickly take you through this item. So if you recall at the public forum on the 23rd of June, you had the main petitioners come and share with you this petition, and this was formally received at your meeting on the 29th of July. So this is the response from council. So the petition was requesting consideration of a 1 hour reduction to the Mangawhai Harbour's winter on-leash dog walking period. So from instead of it being from 10 to 5, they were requesting it to be from 10 to 4. So in essence, if you would like to consider amendments to the policy on dogs and dog control bylaw, this would require that we have a special consultative procedure under the LGA. So it's still to propose any amendments. If you wanted to propose any amendments, it's still a really robust process to make sure that all sides and all people are able to share their views and make sure that it's representative of the broadest body of the community as possible. So it's much the same process as a full review. In essence, there's not a lot of difference because we have to go through that whole process. So the dog control bylaw is scheduled to be reviewed before June 2029, which sounds quite far away, but actually such a large piece of work. We'll be starting on this next year, this review of the dog bylaw. And we also know that we're just watching that there are potentially some movement in the Dog Control Act from central government. I'm just keeping an eye on that as well. So essentially the recommendation is that you note that the request for changes to the dog access rules would require the statutory process to amend the policy on dogs and dog management bylaw, and that staff are requested to advise the petitioners that this will be considered, that we've noted the request and it would also be considered as part of this scheduled review. Happy to take any questions.
Thanks, Nina. Do we have any questions? I see Councillor Jepson. Do you have your hand up or is it held up from previously? Go to Councillor. We'll go to Councillor Canton in the meantime.
Commission. If we voted to bring forward that review next year, just how difficult would that be? Is it something, well, we'll bring that forward for something out a little bit and work within your resourcing to do that? Or are the time frames too tight?
Yeah. We're already at 50% capacity in the policy team. You've just got me. There should be another FTE, which we're recruiting for.
I'm not saying doing any more, I'm just saying, I mean, you must have a review program. Is there one that you can say, well, we can push that a little bit later and bring this one forward?
Yeah.
The reason I'm asking is if we are going to do this, you know, it would be nice to look at, if we're going to review it and implement it, it would be fantastic if we could get in before next winter, when it's actually wanted, because otherwise it becomes another whole year after that before it really has any effect on what they're requesting.
Yeah, sure, through the chair. So I suppose there's two aspects. One is that it would be considered, you know, we'd have to put it to public consultation as to whether or not this amendment is wanted or not. So we can't take it as a given.
No, just the process of doing.
Yeah, the process. I really, to be all honesty, to get it before next winter, even if like it was full time, I think that's possibly not going to be able to happen because we have so many points that we come to your meetings to be able to get bylaw amendments through. And I suppose the second aspect is that, as you'll see in the next item, we are working to statutory deadlines for waste, parking, and quite a few others. Also got our gambling ones coming up. And those are statutory requirements that are coming up much more urgently than this dog one. So I suppose from a statutory perspective, you've got some quite pressing lines. Yeah.
Are there any, Councillor Williams?
Thank you, Worship. I just wondered, what is the consultation timeframe for a bylaw submission and hearing process? Is it a set now, or is it decided at council, or how does that work?
Minimum of a month. But I mean, we've been working sort of, you know, it takes about 6 months for us to get it to the stage where it's ready for a month's consultation and then the hearing. So, you know, it really is a 12 to 18 month process for us to be able to have the special consultative procedure. Yeah.
Are there any other questions? Okay, thanks, Nina. You can stand down. We have a staff recommendation. Let's get it up on the screen, please. want to change there from a request to staff to a request to the chief executive. Request that of the chief executive. Yeah. Everyone see that? Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Canton and a seconder. Councillor Tani, thank you. Councillor Canton.
Your worship. Ideally, I would prefer to see this in place by next winter, but if that's not a possibility, then the next best option is to at least make sure that it is part of our review process when that does come up next year. I'd like to keep that in mind, that it does form part of that work, and the community gets to have their say on it, because I think like anything to do with dogs, there will be those that are opposed to it. But I think there is actually a lot of support for this, and from a purely pragmatic point of view, that change of light, daylight savings, change in time, I think isn't an unreasonable request on this party's behalf. Thank you.
Councillor Tani.
Yeah, Worship. Yeah, I concur there's a lot of interest from, in this, and I think following our due processes next year, I think is the right pathway forward.
Any elected members wish to speak? No? Okay, well, we'll put this to the vote. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. We've reached past 12:30 now, so what we might do is have a break for lunch, and we'll come back at 1:05. Thank you. Thank you and welcome back, everybody. We're now moving to item 4.7, the parking and traffic and waste management and organisation bylaws, adoption of statements of proposal. Welcome back, Nina. Thank you. Thank you.
Around the management and disposal and discarding of waste to protect public health and so on. And this is encouraging waste minimisation, preventing inappropriate waste disposal, supporting safe and efficient waste management, appropriate controls to reduce nuisance. So those are the two ones that we're talking about. So regarding
That is very clever. You're amazing. How do you do that?
I think there's a delay.
the first time.
Quite spooky, aren't you? Just going to take a little brief adjournment here whilst we sort out some technical issues. It might be, is it Councillor Jepson's speakers or something that is on mute?
That's not Dunedin, we're behind them, is it?
Hanging up.
We'll just get you to disconnect him.
Okay, so these are the two for the three areas that we're talking about. So we're in this process aligning with the direction from council to break up the parts of the consolidated general bylaw. So we're looking at these three parts and to make them into separate standalone bylaws. And we're just making sure that we keep all the provisions that are necessary and appropriate and are being used from those current consolidated general bylaws. And we're also removing any provisions that haven't been relied on or that are already covered in central legislation or other legislation mechanisms. So the part we've had our findings reports, if you recall, in June, where we looked at the different clauses of the bylaws. And in that, it was a decision of council where you decided that a bylaw is still the most appropriate form to address the problems that are in the community. And then following that, we had some further analysis in July at the briefing where we explored a draft bylaw and looked at the different clauses of that. So that was where we're looking at that bylaws have been considered the most appropriate form of a bylaw. They're authorised by the relevant legislation and they're not inconsistent with the New Zealand Bill of Rights Act 1990. So today we're at the point where we're asking for the adoption, or you can adopt the statement of proposal, which means that we'll go into a period of public consultation on the draft bylaws that we looked at in July. And then following the period of public consultation, there'll be hearings and deliberations of the panel, which you make a decision on today or if you'll be on the panel. And then following that, we'll come back for the adoption of the final bylaw from council. So happy to take any questions, but in essence, that's the stage which we're at. And you'll see in the attachments that the statements of proposal are there, as well as the draft bylaws, which are the same as you saw previously.
Nina, Councillor Lambeth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I listened very intently and I heard the word removal, but I didn't hear the word added. So are we looking at it that there'll be no new added bylaws?
Yeah, so let me clarify what the statement of proposal is asking for: the creation or going to consultation. We're proposing the creation of 2 new bylaws: waste minimisation and management bylaw and parking and traffic bylaw. And concurrently to remove the parts in the consolidated general bylaw that relate to those aspects. Part 6 around traffic, part 7 solid waste, and also part 4 nuisance, which, if you recall from the findings discussion, is covered by other legislation and will be included. If there's any relevant provisions, it's included in the new bylaws we're proposing.
Yeah, one thing I need to be clear on is that, is there a problem at present where our current system is not working? Or is this just a mandate from central government that we must have this? What I'm saying is there's very little traffic enforcement done anyway. Are we doing it to create a further industry, or my question is, well, I'd just like to say, because every time you add a new bylaw, whatever it be, or a new law, you take away somebody's rights and freedoms. And I'm very, very concerned about that. I must be convinced that there is a need for these and there's a use for these through the process. Do we have any statistical information that's going to back it all up, or is it just a mandate from central government that we must do this?
So through the chair,
difficult questions here, man.
I suppose I can fill you in with my knowledge of this. Is that my understanding is that council directed in 2020 for staff to take out the part to deconstruct the consolidated general bylaw to make standalone bylaws. So that's the process which we're kind of halfway through at the moment, and we're looking that consolidated general bylaw, all the parts will eventually be replaced with new bylaws. And as you described, this valid concern, at the same time, we're looking, are there any clauses which haven't been relied on? Are there any aspects which there's not still a need for? So in our meeting on 23rd of June, the decision around proposing that we remove part 4 nuisance and not replace it, which is what we'll be putting out for public consultation, is, as you say, sort of reducing, in that spirit, I would suggest, of reducing clauses that haven't been relied on or already covered by central government. And we're also looking to make them more sort of user-friendly, easy to understand, making sure we're taking out anything covered by central government and just making sure we've got a bit more streamlined that are being used by the enforcement team.
Anton?
Thank you. So basically what you're doing is you're taking some bylaws that are already in a big bucket of bylaws and then putting them into more easy to understand little buckets.
Correct.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions arising? No, okay, thank you, Nina, you can stand down. We've got a staff recommendation there that requires us to nominate some members in section F, and I would like to suggest that we delegate to Councillor Canton as the chair, Councillor Tane and Councillor Rogers. Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Williams, thank you. Yes, it's a huge and complicated body of work, and I think as we go through this process, we'll get some greater clarity around what's happening. And I can't say that I disagree with the points raised in questioning from Councillor Lambeth of making sure that if we are going to have rules put in place, that there is an evidential basis for the need for them. So I hope that that gets tested through this process, and that we get some really good, simple bylaws in place. I would like to see it run in a similar manner that we did with the development of the district plan, that we look at them as being simple and enabling, but at the same time, you know, protecting people from genuine nuisance and conflict. So thank you, Councillor Williams.
Thank you. Nothing further to add. I agree with what you just said.
Any other elected members wish to speak? Read your statement.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll put this to vote. All those in favour say aye. Against, the motion carried. We are now moving to item 4.9. The land to be set apart for car park and pensioner housing, a land to be declared 9 Wood Street. Welcome Tim Manning.
Afternoon.
So earlier in the month, I presented in the briefing paper about the resident designation of land. So we've got 4 parcels of land which are owned by council, and we're just changing some of the property boundaries and also designating one parcel as road reserve. So that will enable us to treat it as a road and attract maintenance subsidy of that road from NZTA. So in the AFO I presented last time and this time, we do, parcel 1 is referred to as the pensioner housing land. That's incorrect. We should just refer to it as parcel 1. So maybe that amendment can be made. Image 2 of the report highlights the 4 areas that need to be reallocated, and the paper itself goes into a bit of detail about the legal aspects of what needs to be done. The purpose is to just legalise the new car park and the access roads that was completed as part of the Wood Street project.
Thank you, Tim. Does anyone have any questions? There are no questions. Was there a change to the staff recommendation, or is that the same? We're just referring to something that did you intend that there should be a change to the staff recommendation, or is it as per the agenda?
The recommendation is exactly as the agenda. It was just the error in referring to parcel 1 as pensioner housing land.
In the report, yeah, okay.
The report is just actually parcel 1.
Yeah, great. Thanks very much. You can stand down. We have a staff recommendation before us. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Canton and a seconder. Councillor Lamb. Thanks, Councillor Canton.
Your Worship, yeah, happy to support this. Looks like it's just a tidy up at the end of a project to make sure that little bits of land that are changing get attached to their, the right parcels. And if redesignating parcel 3 entitles us to some subsidies, and I'm all for it.
Thank you, and Councillor Lambert.
Nothing much further to add now that has just been referred to as parcel 1. It relieves my concerns.
Thank you. Any other elected members wish to speak? I was down there just the other day, drove through, and very impressive a piece of work that Tim has coordinated there, also very complicated, and certainly provided a great area of parking, and it's really great. And I would also commend Councillor Jepson's foresight to suggest during the implementation phase that there should be a public toilet there. Got it all in and got it all plumbed in before we had to go and dig it all back up again to put pipes underground. So it was really an exceptional piece of work. So thank you to Tim. I know you've kind of finished the work and you're just tidying it up, but it was really an expertly delivered project, the Wood Street development and that parking, and going to serve the community for a long time to come. Okay, back to you, Councillor Canton.
Just to follow on about the toilets down there, it's quite unnerving if you're in them and people are standing outside the front getting their picture taken in front of the.
Shut the door though.
It's a bit like the old ad on TV, no occupied. You should have planned to pass both of that,
No, apart from that, nothing to add.
Brings a whole new meaning to photo bombing. All right, well, we will put this one to the vote. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, motion carried. We are now moving on to the road naming applications for approval, July 2026, and we are welcoming Debbie Rapi. Are you online there, Debbie? Thank you.
Thank you. So yesterday, good afternoon, and thank you, Your Worship, and elected members. I'm presenting the road naming applications for this month. We have 2 private road access ways and 1 for Kaipara District Council. I would take the report as read, and if there were any questions.
Thank you, Debbie. Are there any questions? Councillor Tane.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just to note that I support these names being presented, but I just wanted to ask the question around when you're considering these names, is there the opportunity for mana whenua narratives, and particularly through some historical aspects around Māori names, are they considered, you know, alongside generic or commemorative names?
Through the chair. Sorry, through the chair. We're talking about the private access ways.
I'm just talking in general around naming, road naming.
Through the chair, most of our names or new names of roads are coming through our developers. And so the developers will consider up to 3 options of roads that they'd like to put forward to council. And that's how majority of the roads are decided by the developers.
Thanks, Debbie. Do we have any other questions? No? Okay, well, thank you, Debbie. You can stand down. We have a staff recommendation, which I'm happy to move. Could I have a seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor Rogers. Certainly, we've in the past taken an approach to road naming for private access ways or for new public roads where the landowners are developing and building them, that we would try to give effect to their wishes. Oftentimes there's been a lot of sweat and tears going into creating these properties, and people have attachments to them and reasons that they want to name the roads, and so I'd like to continue to support that approach where we have people doing these developments. In terms of part C of the recommendation, I think this is very fitting and appropriate. It's been traversed through the briefing to recognise Mark Farnsworth's contribution. I see in the report the local area, but in fact we had the Citizens Awards just recently, and Mark was received a mayoral award for his contributions in the Kaipara over many, many years, starting out as a councillor in the Hobson County Council, going way back, and through extensive work over many, many years with all manner of sectors of society across the whole what is now the Kaipara district, and has continued to this day to contribute his time and energy to helping and advising so many people. So I think that's very appropriate to have that road named in that way. Councillor Rogers.
I think you've said it all very well, thank you. Nothing further to add.
Any other elected members wish to speak? Councillor Williams.
Your worship. Yeah, I just wanted to say that it's really interesting when you read through the applications, and I always love reading the reasons why they're naming a road. It just gives you a bit of a, you can see the connection of what they're trying to convey. So, I think it's good, and I fully support the Farnsworth Way. I think that's really important that we recognise Farnsworth in this way. Thank you.
Councillor Williams, any other elected members wish to speak? Okay, well, we will put this to the vote. All those in favour say aye. Against? Motion carried. We are now moving to item 4.11, which is resolving appeals on private plan change 85 Mangawhai East. And speaking to this is R. Paul Wanders and Catherine O'Water. Or not, there's a case made on. Paul.
Thank you, Worship, Councillors. Just to recap, the recommendations of the Commissioners on private plan change 85 Mangawhai East were considered by Council 26th of May, and the application was declined. A notice was given to all the parties. 2 appeals were lodged with the Environment Court, one from the applicants, Foundry Group Limited and ProLand Matters Company Limited, and one by the submitter, Black Swamp Limited. In the meantime, 11 parties have joined us, 274 parties to those appeals. Now, the Environment Judge has reviewed the matter and has inter alia directed as follows. The parties shall advise the court and one another as to whether or not they are agreeable to court-assisted mediation. If the parties agree to mediate, then the matter will be kept on hold and suggest a date of the 13th of November. If the parties are not agreeable to mediation, the matters will be set down for a judicial conference to timetable the hearings. In the meantime, both appellants have indicated that court-assisted mediation would be acceptable. In terms of Council's delegation register, neither the attendance or the approval of either court-assisted mediations or judicial conference are delegated to staff, and a decision on the delegation is therefore required from Council. You have in your papers the recommendation that the authority to resolve the appeals be delegated by suggested 3 elected members, and that all the and delegate to the Chief Executive or his delegate to attend court-assisted mediation on behalf of Kaipara District Council and to represent Council's position during mediation with the different parties. So that is the recommendation. In the body of the report, you will see the advantages and disadvantages of the different alternatives. And our recommendation is that we do appoint, or we do delegate the proposed 3 councillors, and that staff are delegated to attend the meetings, etc., report back for decisions from those 3 councillors. Any questions?
Are there any questions? There are no questions. Thank you, Paul. You can stand down. a staff recommendation for us there to insert 3 elected member names, and I will suggest myself, Councillor Canton and Councillor Williams. I have a seconder. Councillor Canton, thank you. This is really a procedural RMA process, and so we're going to follow through the process and see where it all lands. Councillor, who's my seconder? Canton.
It's more of a question. Is it appropriate that the full council have a discussion about this with the newly formed committee members, which of course are part of the council, going into the process, so we kind of get where we're standing, or is it just something, because here we are being effectively delegated a fair amount of authority to make decisions?
Well, in part B of the recommendation, the chief executive is going to be taking over actually doing that mediation, so there'll be a conversation around that.
And through you, your worship, just confirming that we'll be ably assisted by the GM policy and planning and our legal advisors in the process as well. So we won't be doing this in a vacuum, and we'll be able to make sure that the elected members are well.
Okay, anyone, other elected members wish to speak? No, okay, I'll put this to the vote. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. That brings us to the end of our decision items for today. We're now moving into our information items, and we move to item 5.1, which is the exceptions report for July 2026. Are you speaking to this, Mr. Chief Executive, or did you just want to take questions?
Yes, your worship, I'll just take questions, just noting that given it is July, we don't have financial exceptions reporting at this stage. We'll just have a month report.
Okay, are there any questions of the Chief Executive about the exceptions report? There are none. Okay, we have
early on the piece.
We have a recommendation to note the exceptions report, July 2026. I'm happy to move that. Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Williams, thank you. We're really just going through a process of voting here. Councillor Williams, did you have anything to comment on? Any other elected members wish to speak? Councillor Lambert.
Just a quick look, resource consents are remaining constant, but once again, we've punched through our highest building consents 4 years. So things look as though they're on the improve. Just 6 months ago, we had our lowest amount of building consents that we had in 4 years. So.
Any other elected members wish to speak? I'll put this to the vote. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Move to item 5.2, which is the resolutions register update, August of 2026. Want to take the same approach? See if there are any questions.
Yes, please, your worship.
Are there any questions relating to the resolutions register? There are none. Okay. Can I have a mover that we note the resolutions register update, please? Councillor Williams. And a seconder, please. Councillor Rogers. Thank you. Councillor Williams, want to say anything?
No.
Rogers. Any other elected members wish to speak? Okay, we'll put this to the vote. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Against? Motion carried. We have a recommendation now to move into the public excluded session. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Lambert, and the seconder, Councillor Williams. Thank you. Is there any discussion? Okay, I'll put this to the vote. Vote say aye. Aye. Against? Motion carried.